Dumelang. Maponyane-Kobua, and welcome back to my channel. Yes, I'm a pastor, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an author, I am a facilitator, and I'm a mom. And yes, I am a wife, and I am excited that you are joining me once more again for another insightful, another impactful, another exciting, another educational, is that the right English, episode on my channel. Yes, Kalina. Did I introduce myself? Let me do it again if I didn't. And I am excited to be here again this week. So I've been seeing your comments, I've been seeing your interactions, your shares, your Bonaban. I'm just seeing you. I'm seeing you in the block. I'm seeing you here. I'm seeing you here. And I am very, very humbled. I am very excited that I get to share, these hard to speak about conversations and just come forth and be able to communicate about them. On that note, what are we talking about today? Oh, hey, it's getting hotter and hotter, it's getting deeper and deeper. So today I want to speak about the importance of healing from any kind of trauma, for that matter. But particularly, I'm going to be looking specifically, I'm going to be looking at the importance of healing from rape before marriage. The importance of healing from rape before marriage. And while you are in marriage, of course, the importance of healing from rape, just in general. And it's one of those topics, it's one of those topics that have me thinking, because it's sensitive, it's it hits home, not just to me, but I know to many it will hit home. And I'm actually even wondering, is there going to be is there ever going to be a way to speak about it in a way that won't come across as cringeworthy, or whatever the case may be. But God being God, He's going to make it possible for us to have this conversation. And what I like is, at the end of the day, or at the end of every episode, there's a specific takeaway, there's a specific lesson that one walks away with, that they can be able to implement in their lives. Okay, so where do I begin? For those who don't know, let me just very briefly share my past, so that you can get the the background and the understanding of why this topic and the things that I will be saying. Okay, so at the age of 12, was it 12 years, 12, 13, was coming from church. We were preparing for a conference, and then two guys were walking me home, knew them very well. And 23 September 1996, they kidnapped me, they took me to a forest and they raped me, took away my innocence, took away, my childhood, basically. And I think I lost the essence of who I am, man, in a way. I lost me in that moment. I lost so much about me in that particular episode of my life. But I think one of the deepest things for me in that season was that we didn't have much knowledge about the importance of counseling. We didn't have much knowledge about the importance of going to seek help and healing, etc., etc., etc. And as a result, it happened, move on, life, as life went on as if nothing even happened. In the few years to come, I would later work in an industry that was very male dominated. Drivers would come and bring their PODs to me, proof of delivery. Like, I was in the transport industry, so drivers every day would have to come and bring their proof of deliveries to me, and then I'd do my part of the job. And I realized in that season that I was not healed, that I had not healed from the incident at all. I remember whenever Mutamuna would come and use pet names to address me, I would just be livid. I would be livid. And I think the trauma made me to hear things that were not being said. The trauma made me see things that were not there. Just him talking to me in that way, I felt like they were asking for more than just being kind and nice to me. But I remember very distinctively one conversation that I had with a friend of mine, Kosowet. So we were talking, I won't say who it is, but we were having a conversation with this lady, and she had also been raped, and she was married at the time. And I remember asking her, I said to her, how do you successfully find yourself in a position where you are intimate with your husband without being triggered, without being somehow in an uncomfortable position? I remember her saying that she's okay, she's healed from it, and she's moved on, and I battled for so long to understand how she did it. I remember just constantly asking myself, how did she do it? How did she get there? Is it even possible? At some point, I was even thinking, was she even raped, And I think obviously it's because of lack of knowledge and also lubungwana, I was still very young, so my reasoning capacity was not at an advanced maturity that it is now. So I was having all these things in my mind, and I was just thinking, I don't know how she's doing it, but I don't think I'll be able to do it. I don't want no guy touching me. I don't want no guy talking to me. I like aki nyaki. And I was very clear about what I did not want. And I knew for certain that intimacy was something I didn't want. All right. Continued like that. And then I remember in 2001, I think, actually it was prior, I had gone for counseling. This is prior the episodes I just told you about now. I had gone for counseling, but one of the things that I'm realizing is that, healing for me did not happen because of the actual counseling. I think it was just a progressive, thing, that happened for me. It was progressive in a sense that I went for counseling, but I still felt the same. But as the years went by, and I suppose with me being intentional about healing and just realizing as well how much this thing had stolen from me, I had come to a place and point where I was like, I need to heal. It's either I heal or I am going to be a prisoner of these perpetrators for my entire life. All right, so living my life and progressively doing well in terms of life, but also in terms of healing. Like, I could tell that I'm thinking differently, I am reacting differently, I am responding differently to the male species. So I could tell that there's a huge progress, and there's a huge improvement that has happened in that aspect. Okay, sharp. Now in 2011, unfortunately, the same thing happened again, and coincidentally on the same date, 23 September again. two guys coming from church. I had just preached. I was dropping off a friend and I was going to drive home, and then there was a gun on my head, taken to the forest, and then we were assaulted and then raped, and then released. You know, this time it was more I don't know, I don't know if I should say more traumatic, because then there was blood involved. At some point I was bleeding for like 8 hours. I had to go to theater. Like, there was just a lot, you know, there was just a lot. Now here's one thing I want to say to somebody watching, before I even go far. I keep saying this to many people that I talk to about my encounter, my second encounter, or the second encounter. I was very intentional in the very moment of the crime to speak to my mind, to bring my mind to subject, to bring my mind under my authority at that time. And I remember thinking in the moment that this time around, this is not going to kill me. This is not going to change me. This is not going to derail where God had already been taking me. This is not going to control me. I was very intentional because I had seen what had happened in the first incident. I was very intentional, you know, with wanting to change how I approach my healing journey in the second incident. But also it was because I had seen what the first one had done to me, and I had seen how it had controlled me and how it had made me perceive men. And I didn't want to have that perception as the template of who man is, men as in male, who they are. But I remember thinking to myself, I've got power over this one. I've got authority over this one. It's not going to control me. It's not going to change me. It's like I will not be held captive by this particular incident, not now, not in the future. Now, with this said, I want to also be very careful not to make the next person who went through it but is struggling to come out of it to perhaps think that they don't believe better, or they are weaker than me, or whatever the case may be. I want you to understand this. Did this mean that I woke up and the next day I was like, yo, I'm ready for life? By no means. Did this, the confession and the, you know, taking captive my mind and putting it under my authority and refusing for it to cross over to the enemy mean that I didn't battle with the let me say, the typical traumatic responses that many abuse victims and rape victims, or any other victim for that matter, would have to be subjected to post any traumatic experience? No, it doesn't mean that I woke up and I was all powerful and I was all knowing, and no, by no means. I went through the trauma. I went through the acute stress where I was just having horrible dreams. You know, I would dream kikitimi shakitino, you know, things like that. You know, and in the psychological world, people would know, some of these. Your mind is so trapped in trauma and fear that everything and anything that is scary is going to just, you know, be a part of you for a certain period. I would dream, or not even dream, I would be afraid to drive in the night. I would be afraid to ask for directions. I mean, in the beginning, I remember in the beginning stages, before they were arrested, every guy I saw in Joburg, especially because Pitting looked like them, I'd be thinking, is this the one? is that him? No, it's not. It's definitely that one. Oh, you mean go that corner? You know, like I would twancha every guy with them, and I would always assume that they in my surrounding and they are where I am, and I would hear the voices. Like there was a lot that I went through. And for me, in the second incident, my healing really came from the book, or the bigger chunk of my healing came from the book Shadows of My Scars. But also the bigger chunk of my healing came from the speaking engagements that I would have, where I would then share. So the speaking was like the coughing out, and it was just constantly going out. But here's then what I want to share with you. I then came to realize that every time I was invited to come and share my testimony somewhere, there was a new discovery that I was making about the incident. I would then discover, like I would be telling the story, and then I would say, and then this happened. It's almost like in certain incidences, it was almost like my brain had shut down certain memories, and on that day that memory sort of like slipped through the conscious mind to the subconscious mind to the conscious mind, and I can remember distinctively incident this and that at this point, and I would realize at that moment that I actually need to deal with this because it's new information, it's new data that just came to the fore, and now I have to deal with this. And then in another incident or in another speaking engagement, the same thing would happen again. In another one, the same thing would happen again. And I then realized then that the peeling off, you know, I think in one of my episodes I spoke about the peeling off of an onion, that the peeling of an onion doesn't end, hey? Because with every speaking engagement, I would then discover things, you know, as and when I peel, I discover, oh, okay, I hadn't dealt with this. Oh, okay, I hadn't dealt with this. Oh, okay, I hadn't dealt with this. Now, and the speaking would then obviously help me to then come face to face with that particular episode or that scene in my mind, and be able to deal with it, and be able to talk about it, and be able to call someone about it and say, hey, I feel like this, I'm angry, this, whatever the case may be. So, you know, with the topic that I am talking about today, you know, I then want to come to this point. Yahore, I was recognizing every episode, ne? I was recognizing every episode as it unfolds with every speaking engagement. I would recognize the healing that would then have to happen. I would recognize the things that were hidden, and so forth and so on. And so I was intentional in healing from them, from the bitterness towards men, this, that, all of those things. And one of the reasons why I would heal was, of course, for me. I'm going to be honest, it was for me. But more so, it was because I knew that if I don't heal from this now, I am going to put the man that is going to marry me under immense trouble. Because he would then now have to pay for the sins that he did not commit, for the sins that were committed when he was nowhere near my life, for the sins that he had no part in them, you know. So I had to be intentional in ensuring that I don't make him a victim of anger, a victim of bitterness, a victim of, you know, outbursts, because yeah, you look like, or you just sounded like, or you just acted like, you know. So then I got married. So obviously then when I got married, it means I have to be intimate, okay? Go obvious. It was in that season that I would then realize that, okay, so I am here, and perhaps what I had thought I had healed from, I will discover here. Let me say this, very important. I'm going to tell you now that the biggest gift I gave myself, and I think I can safely say I gave my husband as well, was taking captive of the moment in time when it was actually happening. Remember earlier on I said, I kept on saying, this is not going to control me. This is not going to take away my future. This is not going to destroy me the same way the first one did. That moment right there was a gift to the day I said I do. And I didn't know then until I said I do. I didn't understand then until I had a husband whom I would have to be intimate with. And only then did I actually realize how much power I took back in that moment. When Paul speaks about the renewal of the mind, he is speaking about perceiving and seeing things, be it trauma, be it past pain, be it this and that, differently. Perceive, something will happen to you, but the way in which you respond to it is a perception that has been built in your mind. That particular incident. If you were rejected as a child and somehow it's been built in you that nobody wants you, you will then perceive everybody that walks into your life as somebody that doesn't want you. Okay? And this is why even when genuine and authentic people walk into your life, you will think, I am badly. Over a little squabble, like a teensy weensy beatsy petty little thing, and you're like, yeah, it's perception that had been built. So I arrested perception that day. I was like, I'm not going to perceive all men like this, and I'm not going to perceive my husband like this. And that moment right there was, if I had priced wedding gifts on the 30th of October 2021, if there was ever a priced wedding gift or one that was priced over the other on that particular day, I don't think there's any gift that can top the gift I gave myself at the crime, at the scene of the crime. That gift right there was a gift that I will always be grateful to God that He gave me the know-how and the understanding that if you don't walk away from this place having left behind what you're going to leave here, you are going to take everything with you. Okay? Now, I did take some residues with me, and that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. That is the reality and the truth of it. I then want to share that, okay, before I go to this next sharing, the reason why I said that at the scene of the crime, the reason why I kept on saying I'm going to take back my power, this is not going to control me, this is not going to take away anything, all those declarations that I was making in that time, and just keeping my mind subject to my control at that time. The reason I was doing that is because I had reference of what the first incident had done to me and how I was perceiving things more so from the outside. Remember I said there was a friend who was married and I didn't understand how she ended up getting married with this thing, with this past. I didn't understand how she got married with this being part of her life or part of her past. It didn't make sense to me at all. So when the second incident happened and I made those declarations and I spoke to my mind so loudly and so intentionally, it was because I knew that I didn't want my sacred, intimate space to be infiltrated by anything other than what was in the will of God. I knew that part. That's the first thing that I knew. I knew that I don't want the enemy to be part of my marital bed. I knew that I didn't want the enemy to overtake my marital bed. Remember, we are more emotional, so we are more emotional and we want to hear and we want to, all those things. Now, I knew that I didn't want to misinterpret what my spouse will be saying to me when he says it to me, or hear him from the ear of a victim, but rather that of a conqueror, but even so that of a renewed mind, and say, I'm hearing my spouse and nobody else, But also I wanted to reject the template of a crime on my body. I wanted to reject that template being the only reference that I had. I wanted my experience with him to be the one template that will be more loud than the template of the crime scene of crime. I keep talking English, that is Robert. So I wanted my honeymoon experience to be my template. I wanted it to be my template, and I wanted it to be my reality. So I was not going to, I perhaps did not have the full understanding of it, but in hindsight, I realized that with that confession and that, aggressive possession of mind and so forth that I had at that moment, I was taking away the power from the enemy, and I was saying, you are not going to keep me captive, and you're definitely not going to keep me captive on my marital bed. I'm not going to be your victim on my marital bed. So it was important it was important that I heal, so that I don't see or I don't experience my marital bed the way that I experienced Isganga. There had to be a difference. There really had to be a difference. Did I get it right immediately? And oh yes, girl, you are doing the it immediately and every day and all the time and every day. By no means, by no means. The days where I would really need to be in warfare of some sort, to bring my mind into the knowledge of who I am, which is more than a conqueror, to say, Alinda, remember who you are in Christ. But the joy of it is that the bigger chunk of it has been conquered, is that the bigger chunk of it I've moved away from it. I'm able to stand and sit here right now and confidently say that I really do have power over the enemy in that regard. I was having a conversation with the twins very recently, and and there's something that Millicent said. I won't share it here. There's something that she said about me and intimacy, and I said to her, girl, I had to be intentional in healing so that I can enjoy intimacy in marriage without it being blocked by another evil template or another template not allowed to even be in my space. So it is very important that we renew our minds. Renew your mind. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but renew your mind. I know that there are those who feel they don't want to talk about the rape encounters that they've gone through. It's not easy, it's been difficult and so forth, but I really want to encourage them to speak. I really would like to encourage them to speak, and not necessarily like me speaking on big platforms with every person listening and perhaps even judging or whatever, but you can find one individual that you can talk to, who can be your safe haven, who can be your safe space, just to peel off the layer of being a victim, and slowly, put on the layer of being a conqueror, and not just a conqueror, but more than a conqueror, so that you can be able to stand and stand strong, even in your journey as a wife one day. Earlier on I said after I said the importance of healing from rape, before you get married. And I realized that they get raped while they are married. And misunderstand, I didn't say anything about spouses raping them. I'm talking about outsiders. Ne? These incidences have happened. So, and I think I will apply the same, I don't want to call it an advice, but the same conversation to them, to say, be intentional about wanting to change your view of what you've always known as intimacy to what can somewhat alter what you now know because of the incident that has happened. And it's also very important, for spouses to listen to their wives, listen to them, and also just know them. Know that when your spouse is acting like this or doing that or not doing certain things, you should know, okay, conning off, they would say there's this thing on social media, conning off. Then at that point, you should know that conning off, and there should be a deep level of wisdom how to deal with it at that time and how to deal with her at that time. Because you also don't want to find yourself in a situation where you are missing an opportunity to allow her to get out of where she could be in her mind at that time. Very, very important to have that conversation. It could be during intimacy, it could be after, it could be before. It really doesn't matter. But the moment you realize, speak to your spouse, find out where they are. And sometimes it's not even you needing to speak. Sometimes it's just you needing to reassure them that it's you, and that you hope they're okay, and just embrace them, or allow her responses to lead you to what she needs at the time. Could just be an embracement, it could just be a conversation, it could be a reassurance, or but again, my favorite love language, words of affirmation. It could be anything of that sort, but just listen to the unspoken words, listen to the actions. Listen, I can hear myself. Listen to the actions. Listen to what they are saying through their actions. What are they saying through their actions? What are they saying with their body? And then you can be able to respond in a manner that will allow them to not feel uncomfortable or to not be taken to where they shouldn't, mentally. And I think in that way it will progressively bring you to a place where you will create your own rhythm in that way. But also, of course, if you are seeing that you are not progressing at the level that you want, and if you are open and honest with each other, of course, it's okay to seek outside intervention, for her, and then maybe you can get one together so that it gives you a broader understanding, especially if she's not able to perhaps express herself halili too fella. Then you can have a broader understanding. Okay, it could be because of, some of the things. She can be triggered by something that is being said or done that is a reminder of another scene, scene that they would rather not remember or think about. And the sad part about triggers is that they are not planned. It's not today I'm gonna think about that day my uncle was ordering me to the other house or whatever. You don't plan that you're gonna think about it that way, but it just literally comes and it immerses you. You are like, how did I get here? So perhaps outside intervention in that regard can be a great need, or can be something that you really truly need in order for you to conquer together. And I really don't want to in any way even teensy wincy tiny bits start to speak as if I am in better of the boardroom. I'm not. And this is why I am careful not to give counsel about anything other than just the taking back your power. I'm new in this field, so I don't want to sound like, but I really do want to bring forth, this what I would believe is my 2 million worth in terms of this space, to say I'm really truly hoping that we will be intentional as women who have conquered and survived sexual violation, to say, bona girl, let your mind be renewed, and let God be the greatest psychologist who will walk with you through your healing journey and through your healing process, until you get to a place where you look back and you are like, yo, namhla Nkosi ngiyamangala, uma ngibheka emuva kube wena wawungenami, ngabe waphela umshado wami, or whatever the case is. So sure, just an assurance, I am praying for you, my beautiful ladies watching this who have gone through sexual violation. You are now married and battling, if you are, or having triggers. I'm praying for you. I want you to know that you are one of my greatest intercession intercession prayer items. That vibe, you are like more at the top of the list. And I really truly pray that one day God is going to restore you, and restore you in a way that will leave you thinking, what? How did I get here? Because He's a God that is able to turn things around. How and where did all of this happen? So yeah, I hope that this video has been impactful to someone. I hope that this video is going to change somebody's life, and I hope that this video will spark a conversation. And you are more than welcome to DM me on Facebook. You're more than welcome to also send me a WhatsApp on my business number. It's on Facebook, so that we can have conversations around this. I am not a all-knowing professional, but look, where and how I can, I'll definitely help you. I'll definitely be available to talk to you, and let's see where this takes us. And I'm wishing you all the very best and the most beautiful intimate moments in the name of Jesus. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning in once more, this week. And I am hoping that I'm going to see your comments there by YouTube. Oh, here by YouTube. It's here. Yeah, here by YouTube. I'm going to see your comments. And please remember to subscribe. And please remember to share this with your friends, your family, and encourage them to subscribe, because there's more conversations that are coming. And I like the fact that it's usually the ones that are difficult to talk about. I will talk about them. I will deal with them like very quickly. Thank you so much, and goodbye.